Sometimes the doors you prayed to open will slam shut right in your face. You'll knock, you'll cry, and you'll wonder, why didn't it work out? But what if that closed door wasn't rejection? What if it was divine redirection towards something far greater than you ever imagined? When Allah closes a door, it's never out of cruelty or neglect. It is always out of His infinite mercy and wisdom. What feels like rejection is often protection, even if your heart cannot yet comprehend it. Sometimes the things we beg for would have broken us, and Allah, in His love, blocks the path that would lead to harm. It hurts to watch something slip away, but what you call a loss may be the very thing that saves your soul. His no is not a punishment. It is His way of whispering, I have something better for you. We often see only a fragment of the picture, while Allah sees the entire canvas of our lives. You may be praying for a door to open, unaware that behind it lies a storm you were never meant to face. Every obstacle, every unanswered prayer is part of a divine plan designed to guard your heart and redirect your journey. The delay is not a denial. It is a divine rearrangement, moving you closer to what aligns with your true purpose. Sometimes, Allah protects your faith by withholding what would have made you forget Him. In moments of disappointment, faith is truly tested. When one door closes, it is natural to question and to grieve. But the believer learns to stand still in that silence, trusting that Allah's wisdom always exceeds their understanding. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness before it blooms, your soul sometimes must go through the quiet ache of loss before it grows. That pain refines your trust and deepens your connection to the one who never leaves you, even when everything else does. If we could see the unseen, our hearts would bow in gratitude for every closed door. Each one is a form of divine kindness, steering us toward a path we may not have chosen, but one that is filled with hidden blessings. The moment we stop fighting what is written and start trusting who wrote it, peace begins to unfold within us. The soul finds rest not when everything goes our way, but when it finally surrenders to Allah's way. So, when life turns you away from something you longed for, don't despair. Every disappointment is carrying a message. Every ending is opening a space for something better. Trust that the one who took something away is preparing to replace it with something far greater. Keep your heart soft, your faith steady, and your gratitude alive. For one day, you will look back and realize that the closed doors were not your downfall. They were your protection, your guidance, and your greatest mercy. You might feel delayed, but you are never denied. Sometimes it feels like everything is moving except you. You see others receiving what you've been praying for, and you begin to wonder if you've been forgotten. But Allah's plan never moves too fast or too slow. It unfolds in the exact moment it is meant to. Every pause, every moment of stillness is intentional. It is not wasted time, it is divine preparation. What looks like waiting is actually Allah arranging circumstances, hearts, and even your own soul, so that when the blessing arrives, you are ready to carry it with gratitude, not pride. In the quiet spaces of waiting, Allah teaches you lessons you would have never learned if life had gone your way. He teaches you patience, trust, and surrender. He molds your heart to let go of control and to rely fully on Him. Sometimes the blessing itself isn't delayed. You are being delayed because you still need to grow into the version of yourself that can handle it. When you ask for something big, Allah prepares you with equally big tests because blessings are responsibilities, and not everyone can carry them without losing themselves. When you truly believe that Allah's timing is perfect, when your heart finds peace even in uncertainty, you stop rushing the process and start embracing the moment. You begin to see that every detour, Every delay is a step in the divine choreography of your life. What you see as waiting is actually movement in disguise, just not the kind you expected. Allah never forgets the du'as you make. He simply stores them in His perfect timing to release them when your heart is ready and the world around you aligns with His wisdom. It's easy to lose hope when you don't see results. But remember, the same Lord who split the sea for Musa and brought Yusuf out of prison has written your story too. He knows how to turn the impossible into possible at the exact second it's meant to happen. His plan is never late, it's precise. The waiting may feel long, but in reality, it's filled with invisible mercy. Because if the blessing came before its time, it could destroy what it was meant to heal. So when life seems still and your heart feels heavy, remind yourself that Allah's delay is not rejection. It's a sign that He's still writing your story with perfection. Keep walking with patience, keep praying with trust, and keep believing that what's written for you will find you exactly when it's meant to. And when that moment comes, you'll understand why it had to take this long, and your heart will whisper, Subhanallah, the timing was perfect all along. The pain of a closed door often comes from how tightly we hold on to what we desire. We convince ourselves that happiness can only come through that one thing, that one person, or that one path. When it doesn't work out, we break. Not because life ended, but because we had attached our peace to something temporary. True peace begins when we realize that nothing in this world is meant to own our hearts. The moment we loosen our grip on what we want and lift our hands in surrender to Allah's will, something inside us softens. It's in that surrender that healing begins. Letting go is not the same as giving up. It is a form of trust, trusting that Allah knows what you cannot see. When you say, Ya Allah, choose what's best for me, you are not losing control, you are handing it to the one who already controls everything. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is to stop trying to force what isn't meant for you. But every time you release what was never written for you, you make space for what is. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means loving deeply but holding lightly, knowing that everything is a guest in your life. And only Allah is the host who never leaves. The heart that learns detachment finds peace in every outcome. When you stop chasing what is running away from you and instead walk toward Allah, you begin to feel a calm that no worldly success can give. You start to see that people, things, and situations were never the source of peace. They were just means through which Allah sent it. When they leave, the peace leaves too, because you had tied it to them instead of Him. Detachment redirects your heart back to the true source, reminding you that real contentment lies in being connected to the Creator, not His creation. Detachment also protects your heart from breaking over and over again. The more you attach your happiness to temporary things, the more fragile you become. But when your heart rests with Allah, even if the world shifts beneath your feet, you remain steady. You can love people, appreciate blessings, and dream freely, yet still remain anchored. You realize that whatever is taken from you will be replaced by something better, or by a deeper closeness to Allah, which is the greatest gain of all. So when something slips away from your hands, don't chase it with desperation. Breathe, let it go, and whisper, Wa Allah, I trust you. In that surrender, you are not losing. You are returning. You are returning to peace, to faith, to the one who writes your story with mercy. Detachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. It's learning to love what you have without fear of loss, because your heart no longer depends on the world. It depends on the one who created it. When life seems paused and nothing moves the way you hoped, it can feel like Allah has forgotten you. You pray, you try, and you wait, but all you meet is silence. What you don't see is that this silence is sacred. It is in this stillness that Allah begins to work on your heart. The waiting is not empty, it is full of unseen preparation. It is the soil where your patience, humility, and strength begin to take root. Growth never happens in comfort. It happens in the quiet struggle between hope and surrender. During these seasons of waiting, Allah is teaching you lessons that success could never teach. He is shaping your heart to rely on Him completely. When everything you planned falls apart, you are forced to look up instead of around. That is when your faith matures, not when things go right, but when they don't. It's in the unseen trials that your soul learns to trust even when it cannot trace His plan. You start to realize that what you thought was a delay was actually divine training, building the emotional and spiritual muscles you'll need for the blessings ahead. Every test is a form of purification. Sometimes Allah slows your journey to remove pride, impatience, or attachments that would have poisoned your success. You might think you're ready for what you've prayed for, but Allah knows the unseen parts of your heart that still need healing. Waiting seasons are polishing seasons. He doesn't deny you the blessing. He refines you so that when it arrives, it becomes a source of gratitude, not arrogance. Every hardship, every unanswered prayer is chiseling away something within you that doesn't serve your growth. The beauty of divine timing is that it not only delivers what's written for you, but also transforms who you are in the process. You step into the next chapter stronger, softer, and more aware of Allah's mercy. What once made you cry now makes you smile because you understand that the waiting was never wasted. It was worship. Each moment of patience becomes a form of remembrance. Each tear a silent dua, and each delay a bridge leading you closer to Allah's love. So when nothing seems to move, don't lose faith. The waiting is not a punishment, it's preparation. Allah is growing your heart to fit a bigger blessing. He is strengthening your soul so you can walk into your destiny with humility, wisdom, and peace. One day, you will look back and realize that the waiting wasn't just part of the journey. It was the most beautiful part because it was in the waiting that you found Him. When Allah closes a path you were once so certain of, it can feel like your whole world has fallen apart. You question what went wrong, you blame yourself, and you wonder why the doors you prayed for shut so tightly. But sometimes, Allah closes a door not because you were wrong to walk toward it, but because He wants you to pause and remember why you were walking at all. It's in those moments of confusion that He calls you back to Him, to reflect, to realign, and to ask, what am I really chasing? Often, when life is going smoothly, we begin to drift without realizing it. Our goals start to revolve around people's success or validation instead of sincerity and purpose. Then Allah, in His mercy, disrupts the path. He removes what distracts you, not to break you, but to bring you back to clarity. Rejection and disappointment become mirrors, showing you what parts of your life have drifted from faith. And as painful as it is, that redirection becomes a blessing disguised as loss. When you finally surrender and return to Allah with an open heart, something beautiful happens. You begin to see that what you thought was the end was actually a turning point. Your intentions purify, your perspective deepens, and your connection to Allah strengthens. You no longer chase what looks glittering, you begin to seek what feels peaceful. This realignment transforms your vision. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is Allah teaching me through this? From that place of surrender, new doors start to open. They may not look grand or impressive at first, but they bring peace. A kind of peace you never felt when you were chasing what wasn't meant for you. These new opportunities align with your values, your faith, and your deeper purpose. You find yourself walking paths that nourish your soul instead of exhausting it. And the best part is, you don't have to force them open. Allah guides you toward them effortlessly because they were written for you all along. Eventually, you realize that every closed door was not a rejection, but a redirection, a divine push to realign with who you were always meant to be. Life stops being about chasing outcomes and starts being about trusting the process. When you walk in alignment with faith, every step feels lighter, every door that opens feels right, and every setback feels meaningful. Because now, you know that as long as Allah is guiding your path, every ending will lead to a better beginning. White gratitude is the light that helps you see meaning in the moments that once felt dark. When a door closes and your plans fall apart, it's easy to drown in disappointment. But when you choose gratitude, something changes inside you. You begin to see that the same moment that broke your heart was also the one that started healing it. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it gives pain a purpose. It allows you to look at what happened and say, even if I don't understand it now, I trust that Allah does. With time, gratitude turns confusion into clarity. You start to recognize that every unanswered prayer was leading you towards something better, something your heart was truly made for. What you once called loss begins to look like mercy. The relationship that ended, the dream that failed, the door that shut, all of it carried hidden wisdom. It wasn't that Allah withheld goodness from you. He was protecting you from what wasn't meant for your peace. Gratitude opens your eyes to the subtle ways. He was guiding you when you thought you were lost. When your heart fills with gratitude, you stop focusing on what didn't work and start seeing what still remains. You notice how, even in heartbreak, Allah kept sending small signs of His care. Comfort through a friend, strength in prayer, calm in tears. You realize that blessings aren't always loud or visible. Sometimes they come quietly, disguised as endurance, patience, or a deeper connection with your Creator. Gratitude shifts your attention from what was taken to what was given, and that shift changes everything. A grateful heart attracts peace because it trusts the wisdom behind every moment. You no longer need to control every outcome. You simply trust that Allah knows best. The closed doors no longer feel like punishment. They feel like divine protection. Gratitude softens your heart and allows you to see life as a continuous unfolding of mercy. It transforms ordinary moments into miracles, because when you start counting blessings instead of losses, you realize how constantly loved and cared for you truly are. One day, when you look back, you'll understand why things had to happen the way they did. You'll see that every delay, every detour, every disappointment was carefully placed to lead you exactly where you were meant to be. Gratitude will help you see that Allah never took anything away from you without intending to replace it with something greater. And in that realization, you'll find peace. A peace that whispers, every closed door was never the end. It was the beginning of something better, written by the one who loves me most. Sometimes, what feels like the end is just Allah's way of saying, I have something better for you. So when a door closes, don't despair. Stand with faith, smile through tears, and whisper.